There's a heaviness sitting in your chest that you haven't told anyone about. And before you say anything, before you brush it off, minimize it, or wrap it in humor to make it feel less threatening, I want you to know this. I can feel it. Not because I'm reading your mind, not because I have some supernatural access to your thoughts, but because I recognize the silent trembling of a person who has carried too much for too long without ever being seen, without ever being held, without ever being told that it was okay to pause. You've mastered the art of surviving quietly. You've learned to swallow the words that tremble at your throat. You've learned to smile when you're shaking inside. You've learned to move through the world like nothing hurts, like nothing is heavy, like nothing is burning you out from within. But inside, in the private chambers of your heart, you've whispered the truth. I don't know how much more I can take. You didn't scream it. You barely even admitted it to yourself, but you felt it in the quiet. You felt it in the stillness. You felt it in the moments when the world fell silent, but your mind refused to. You felt it when exhaustion wrapped itself around your bones, when hope felt like a candle flickering in a storm, when motivation sounded distant and unreachable, like an echo from a life you once knew, but couldn't fully remember. And I need you to hear this, not in the cliche way people throw around words to sound inspiring, not in the hollow way motivational quotes sometimes feel when they don't match your internal reality, but in the literal, energetic, universal sense. You are not done. You are not finished. You are not at the end of your story. You are not standing at the conclusion. You are standing at the threshold. You are on the edge of something that your old self would never have survived long enough to witness. The version of you from a few years ago, or even a few months ago, would have folded under the pressure you're carrying today. But you, this present, battle-worn, wiser, quieter, deeper version of you, you stayed. Even when staying felt harder than leaving. Even when quitting felt like the softer option. Even when the world offered you no applause, no acknowledgement, no recognition for the wars you fought internally, you kept moving. Let's say this clearly. Your pain is real. Your exhaustion is real. Your longing for silence, for escape, for a moment where nothing asks anything from you. That is real too. There is no shame in that truth. But here's the revelation that matters most. Giving up is not the same thing as resting. And what you truly need right now is rest. Not the kind where you close your eyes, but continue fighting invisible battles in your mind. Not the kind where your body is still, but your spirit is screaming. Not the kind where you lie down, but don't actually let go. I mean the kind of rest where you let the universe breathe for you for a moment. The kind where you stop trying to untangle every thread of your life in a single night. The kind where you stop demanding answers from moments that are meant only for transformation. The kind where you exist without negotiating your existence, without justifying your emotions, without trying to look healed when you're still healing. You are not weak because you're tired. You are tired because you've been strong without a break. You've been walking through days that feel too long and nights that feel too short. The sun rises before your heart is ready. The nights arrive before your mind is finished spiraling. You've been waking up carrying yesterday's weight into today, hoping that time would lighten it, but instead it grew denser, heavier, quieter, sharper. Still, you showed up. You showed up when you didn't want to. You showed up when it felt pointless. You showed up when your energy was thin and your heart was heavy. You showed up in ways that no one else could have shown up for you, because no one else knew exactly where it hurt. And the universe has been watching every step you've taken. Every time you carried yourself when no one else could. Every time you resisted the temptation to collapse completely. Every time you whispered, "Not yet, not today." Every time you showed up with cracks in your armor, but refused to call it defeat. Those moments didn't go unnoticed. Those moments are the reason you are being guided now. You've been overthinking. You've been analyzing every detail, every possibility, every outcome, trying to predict a future you are not meant to fully see yet. You've been trying to map the whole road when the universe is only asking you to take the next step. Not all the steps, not the entire plan, not the whole explanation, just the next small, unsteady, imperfect, honest one. Because the path isn't revealed all at once. It never is. It unfolds in segments, one breath one decision, one survival moment at a time. Even if your pace has slowed, even if you've stumbled, even if you've questioned everything you once believed, even if doubt has sometimes sounded louder than faith, you are not late. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are transforming. And transformation always feels like destruction before it feels like clarity. Right now, you are in the part of your story where the pressure becomes purpose. Purpose is not born in ease. It is not forged in comfort. It is not delivered in quiet mornings or calm seasons. Purpose is born in the moments that threaten to break you. Moments like this one, where you're holding on by faith you can't fully articulate, by strength you can't fully measure, by resilience you never thought you had until life demanded it from you. Now imagine this. There is a version of you, your higher self, your future self, your expanded self, standing a little further down the path. They're looking back at you not with disappointment, not with judgment, not with questions about your endurance, but with deep compassion, because they remember exactly what this moment felt like. They remember the heaviness. They remember the silence. They remember the fear that maybe this time, hope would hurt more than help. They're waiting for you, not rushing you, not doubting you, not pitying you, just waiting, because they know you're almost there. This heaviness is not the end. It is the transition, the shedding, the breaking open before the breakthrough, the unraveling before the alignment, the night before the shift. The universe doesn't bring you to the edge just to watch you fall. It brings you to the edge to widen you, to stretch you, to open you, to prepare you for a version of life that your smaller self could never have held. When you feel like you're about to snap, it's not because you're failing. It's because something is about to open. Something is cracking open, not cracking apart, open. And once it opens, once the light gets in, once your life shifts its gravitational center, once your heart exhales in relief instead of resistance, you will finally understand why you had to hold on. You didn't survive every storm just to stop at the shoreline. You didn't climb this far just to collapse at the summit. You didn't outrun darkness for years just to let it write the final chapter. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You are moments, yes, literal moments, from the turning point. And when that shift finally comes, when the air around your life begins to feel lighter, when your heart loosens its grip around fear, when silence finally starts to feel peaceful instead of deafening, when the fog lifts and you realize you were never meant to solve everything in one night, just meant to survive the night, you will look back at this version of yourself and say, I'm glad I stayed. Not because it was easy, but because something in you refused to let darkness be the last sentence. So here's what I need you to do. Gently, literally, without turning this into another battle. Take a breath, unclench your jaw, release the pressure you've been putting on yourself to carry everything alone. Loosen your shoulders from yesterday's invisible weight, and tell your heart something it's been waiting for permission to hear. You are allowed to rest, but you are not allowed to quit. Not today, not now, not when you're this close, not when the universe is leaning in this near, not when the shift has already begun inside you. Even if you can't fully see it outside yet, stay. Not out of stubbornness, not out of pressure, not out of fear, but out of alignment. And to anchor this moment, to truly ground it, to seal it into the energetic field of your life, to claim this shift that is already stirring beneath the surface. I want you to write this declaration, not because someone told you to, not because it sounds poetic or powerful or share-worthy, but because there is a part of your soul that is exhausted from carrying truths it never allowed itself to express. Your heart needs to witness your hand forming the words. Your spirit needs to read itself speaking honestly for once. Your mind needs to see the sentence standing firm, outside the chaos of thought, no longer swirling internally, but existing as something real, spoken, acknowledged, and claimed. So write it slowly, with intention, with presence. I am tired, but I am not done, not rushed, not whispered, not hidden, written like a vow carved into the universe itself. Let it be your promise, a promise not to the world, but to the deepest part of you that once feared it wouldn't make it this far. A promise to the younger you who used to believe pain was endless and healing was fantasy. A promise to the present you who is learning that endurance is not always loud. It is often quiet, persistent, uncelebrated, and still heroic. Let it be your reminder. The reminder that tiredness is not a death sentence, that weariness is not evidence of failure, that exhaustion is simply the receipt of how much you've given, how much you've fought, how much you've absorbed without ever being refilled. It is the proof of effort, not the proof of defeat. Let it be your line in the sand, the boundary you never drew before, the statement that says, "This far, but no further. I will bend, but I will not break. I will pause, but I will not vanish. I will rest, but I will not disappear from my own story." This line is not resistance. It is reclamation. Let it be your handshake with destiny, because destiny doesn't require you to arrive polished. It doesn't ask you to show up without bruises. It meets you exactly where you are, with trembling hands, heavy breath, and a heart full of questions. And it still says, "Yes, you. Let's continue." A handshake means agreement. A handshake means presence. A handshake means, I am still participating in the unfolding, even if I don't fully understand the plot yet. You are shaking hands not with certainty, but with continuation. And when you are done writing it, share this message with someone who might be standing on the same edge. Because pain isolates, but recognition unites. Someone out there is scrolling silently, carrying their own storm, believing they are the only one whose heart makes that sound, like breaking glass wrapped in cotton, like thunder trapped underwater. You might be the voice they needed, but never asked for. You might be the interruption to their spiraling thought. You might be the signal flare in their dark. You never know whose silent storm might soften, simply because your courage reached them at the right moment. Tell them this truth without hesitation. You are not giving up. Not today. Not in this breath. Not in this lifetime. Not when the universe is still writing your story. Because the universe writes in chapters, not conclusions. And you are still in the drafting phase of your transformation. The sentences are still shifting, rearranging, evolving. The plot is thickening. The characters are growing. The pain is transmuting into something wiser, something sharper, something softer, something stronger. The ink is still wet. The stars are still aligning. The next page is still being composed. So stay, not as the person who never hurt, but as the person who hurt and still remained. Not as the person who has all the answers, but as the person brave enough to continue without them. Not as the person who never collapsed, but as the person who collapsed inward and still rose outward. Stay in the story long enough to see the twist turn in your favor. Stay long enough to meet the version of you who is already waiting down the path. Stay long enough to one day whisper back to life with relief instead of resistance. Now I understand. You are not done. You are not finished. You are not erased by fatigue. You are not defeated by silence. You are not defined by the weight in your chest. You are defined by the fact that, despite all of it, you are still saying yes to the next breath. So stay. The universe is not finished with you yet. And the best chapter you will ever live is the one you almost didn't wait for, but you did, and you will, again.